People, whether they are parents, teachers, managers, coaches, mentors, and many other positions of influence, believe that tough love, authoritarianism, and brash criticism of individuals are measures or approaches that are actually needed to spark a change in young people, and they couldn't be further from the truth. A philosopher and rabbi who was able to attract crowds and move large groups of people to action, transformed many individuals that were in positions to be criticized, condemned, and chastised. His approach to their transformation was through education, praise, and affirmation. Such a powerful elixir these are, that they restore joy, self-confidence, self-esteem, build tenacity, bring healing, embolden and strengthen courage in individuals who would have otherwise been crushed by the constant reprimanding and ostracization of society. So if not these approach, what can really spark transformation in behaviors, and how will education, affirmation, and praise make a difference? Let's get into this conversation. Let's explore the conversation. Welcome back to Global Teachership Hub. Today we're going to be looking at transforming behaviors through education, affirmation, and praise. Most people are very aware of where they are falling short or not doing their best and failing to pull their weight. Conscious persons are already labored with the guilt of their failings and looking for ways to improve themselves. The last thing that they need is others reminding them or exposing their deficiency for all to see. There are also individuals whom, through lack of education, are unaware of their room for improvements, and hence criticizing them rather than educating them is simply a pointless activity. Frankly, it does more to serve the ego of the critic than the growth of the criticized. When children behave in an unacceptable manner, parents and carers sometimes exhibit the default behavior, which is to criticize and punish in a bid to change the behavior. However, I am suggesting that there is a different and better approach to take. The approach is to educate, affirm, and praise. To be clear about this undertaking, let's first explore some definitions of each of the words. Transform is to make a marked difference in the form, nature, or appearance. Educate is to give intellectual, moral, social training or information. Praise is to express approval, respect, admiration, or gratitude. And affirm is emotional support or encouragement, stated empathetically or publicly. So let's rewrite the idea for this focus. It's to make a marked difference in behavior through training or information, support or encouragement, approval, respect, admiration, or gratitude. Now, with this in mind, most people at this point will wonder, how then do we correct or eradicate poor or unwanted behaviors? Every behavior is a communication, and most negative behavior communicate a need, insecurity, or series of needs and insecurities. The most important thing is to identify what the need or insecurity is. Then consider, is it education, affirmation, or praise that is lacking, or something else entirely? Understanding the why behind the behavior is the best way for redressing the behavior. When we understand why people behave the way that they do, it gives us a platform to determine how to best approach the person and the behavior. Secondly, people are not their behavior. Hence, we need to stop labeling young people and children by the way that they behave. Their experiences, their knowledge, their needs, their insecurity, and environment are all active catalysts in the formation of their behavior, and that doesn't define them completely. Behavior can be changed, and hence why it is important to fully understand the measures to take when seeking to transform behaviors. At the heart of it all, a transformation of behavior results in the transformation in the quality of life and experience for those most affected by the behavior and the criticism that comes because of the behaviors. In educating children and young people about behaviors, it is good to start on a balanced playing field. Start with discussing what is unacceptable about any given behavior, how it affects others, and what may have happened that led to that mental conditioning for that type of operation. The education process needs a redirection or call for action with appropriate behaviors that are expected. Make clear how everyone benefits from this more appropriate behavior, especially the individual working on the change. Praise or reward the change that you see. Focus on catching the person doing these and reinforce through a system of gratification that works best for the individual. Provide quick, effective rewards through words of praise, certificates, points, tokens, allowance, and other meaningful rewards that might have been agreed with the person, with the child, prior to this activity taking place. Affirm with the use of emotional support and encouragement when the person is making a noticeable effort. Even if they fail to reach the mark, intentionality matters in the process of transformation. The more people feel better about themselves, the more they are willing to attempt those self-affirming activities. Habits are hard to break, and changing behaviors require determination and tenacity to be realized. Show them grace when things haven't gone as planned, because there are always things happening outside of their control. Using these strategies does not mean that there are no sanctions. Rather, it means that sanctions are not merely about depravity or denial. It also includes reflection, evaluation, and forward thinking to ensure that the child becomes the owner of the change. These also have more far-reaching impact than depravity, denial, and isolation will. Say your child constantly rebels and backchats when you ask them to get off the phone, for example. The behavior is clearly unacceptable. Why are they rebelling and backchatting though? That's something we need to ask ourselves. Could this be because they were in the middle of something that they were doing and feel as though it's unjustifiable for them to stop in the middle of whatever they are doing and put the phone down? Could it be that it's the way that they were asked that causes them to feel a little bit disrespected, and therefore they are mirroring that behavior? Could it be that they are bored and they need things to keep them busy and engaged, and the phone or whatever they're doing on it is supporting with that? Could it also be that their parents are asking them to minimize their screen time and they don't appear to be doing it themselves? So children see this as being unfair. You could probably come up with a series of more options that there are that you could explore. This list, however, gives us some ideas of why the behavior gives us some idea of the why behind the behavior. And so it helps us to determine the education needed, how we can praise, and ways to affirm, as well as how to proceed with sanctions where they are needed. Let's put this in a practical sense. Let's take the first why, for instance. They were in the middle of something that they were doing on the phone and didn't want to just stop in the middle of whatever activity it is that they were conducting. So now, how do we follow through with this to make it a lot better for us and improve the behavior and the reaction that we receive as the parents or the carers? Using a step-down process of between 5 to 15 minutes before they need to be off their phones would help them to prepare with doing exactly what we request of them. Or seeing how much time was left on what it is that they were doing and negotiating how much more they would need or how much more time can be allotted to it would also be another way of bridging the gap to nullify their unwanted behavior. They feel respected and feel as though they're fairly treated and have the take-up time that they require to act on the instructions that they're given. Add in some explanation as to why the back-chatting is unacceptable and what you would prefer instead, such as communicating and politely asking for a few more minutes to finish off would have been a better approach than the response in which you were given. When they communicate their feelings to you, or when they are finished with the take-up time that they were given to complete the task, show gratitude for their compliance and self-discipline, then they might be a little bit emotional about the whole situation. So ensure that when they didn't have the full time that they desired to finish off their activity and comply with your request, that you validate their emotions. Should they have gone over the time slightly because they need a minute or two more, encourage them and acknowledge their honesty and their trustworthiness, while encouraging them to meet the time given in the future. Remember, focus on the character qualities that you need the child or children to build and the intention behind what they are doing as part of the praise and the affirmation that you're giving. Additionally, give them grace to work through the transformation wave.